Howdy, 8th graders. How are you today? I'm hoping this is recording because the little red light's not coming on. We'll give it a second here to see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not sure what's going on here. All I see is a spinny little wheel. There. Now it turned red. You probably saw a bunch of stuff, but who knows? All right, 8th grade. Time to hit the books here, do a little mathematical thing here. I think you'll enjoy today, and maybe you won't, but hey, it's not my job for you to enjoy it. It's my job for you to teach it to you. So if you take out a blank piece of paper, this one will be relatively fun here for you, I think. At least most people say it's fun. And under, you can start a whole new thing. We're going to talk about polynomials today. And actually, I think we did polynomials before, so you probably have something over it, but this is something totally different. This is what's called multiplying polynomials. Multiplying. And basically, well, the book starts off with an easy one here, but let's just start easy. This is an example of that. It really is something you've been doing for a long time. Let's say you have 3xy times 2x plus y. Okay, this is simply nothing more than the distributive property, which we've done forever, but let's just do this. You take this first term and you're going to multiply it by both of these second terms here. So 3xy times 2x, 3 times 2 is 6, x squared, because you have two x's and then you have a y. And then it is plus positive y times that 3xy gives you just a 3x y squared. Hopefully that is not any kind of a startling revelation for you. Now, this is where things get a little more complicated. Let me give this one to you here. Let's say you have, let's just go with 3x plus y. No, let me change that. Let me change that. 3x plus 2 times x minus 5. And what you have here is what we like to call a binomial times a binomial. And the general rule of thumb for any polynomial multiplication, it's a pretty simple little concept in that you just need to multiply every term of the first one, every term of the first polynomial times every term of the second one. Which simply means this, okay? And you kind of have to be a little organized here. If you start with the first term of the first binomial, you need to do the distributive property and multiply it by both of these terms of the second one. Then you also need to do that same thing with the second term of the first binomial. Multiply it by both of those. Every term of the first one needs to be multiplied by every term of the second one. So let's see what that looks like. Well, and then I suppose we should put a little asterisk here. And then you need to simplify if you can. Simplify if you can. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. That's the first term of the first one times both of those. Now I need to do the second term of the first one times both of those, which means positive 2 times x is a positive 2x, and a positive 2 times a negative 5 is a negative 10. So now I've multiplied every term of the first one times every term of the second one. Now I look to see, can I combine like terms? Well, there's no other x squareds, so I can write my 3x squared, but I can put negative 15x and a plus 2x together. I have negative 15 here and plus 2 there. That gives me a balance of negative 13x's minus 10. And that is your simplified answer to that binomial times that binomial. And just for fun, before we go any farther here, let's do a super duper complicated one. And it works no matter how big or how small your binomial is. If you see something like this, if you have 4x plus 7, which is a binomial, and I have to multiply that by a trinomial, which is a 3-term thing. Let's say this is 2x squared plus 5x minus 6. So again, just like I said before, you're going to have to multiply every term of the first one times every term of the second one. So there, the 4x gets multiplied by all 3 of those, because I needed a parenthesis there, and the 7 gets multiplied by all 3 of those. So it takes a little time, and you got to be a little bit on the organized side, but let's see how this goes. You know, maybe it would help you to write this out long ways. In other words, I know that I have to multiply the 4x times all 3 of these terms. And then I need to multiply the 7 times all 3 of those terms. Maybe it would help you to stay organized to do it that way. I mean, really, I just did the same thing that all those arrows did up there. So let's do it. 4x times 2x squared is 8x cubed. 4x times 5x is 20x. And 4x times minus 6 is a negative 24x. And then I multiply by my positive 7. Positive 7 times 2x squared is 14x squared. Positive 7 times 5x is plus 35x. And positive 7 times negative 6 is negative 42. So that is every term of the first one times every term of the second one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just need to combine like terms. There are no other x cubed terms, so I'm going to keep my 8x cubed. There are, this by the way should have been 20x squared. I'm sure some of you saw that. I was going to say there shouldn't. I can put my 20x squared with my 14x squared to get 34x squared. I can put my minus 24x with my plus 35x and get plus 11x. And there is no other number term, so this just ends up being minus 42. And please, 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 we talked about this a long time ago. When you write your answer, you're supposed to write them. The standard way of writing them is in descending order of, what do we call that? Well, just descending order of exponents, which means I would start with my x cubed, then my x squared, then my x, and then my number. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your answer there. Now, children, I guess since you're highly qualified, if you give me a second here, I need to find, Mrs. LeBeau should have a piece of paper. I didn't know if I was going to get to it, but I figure since we're talking about this, we might as well do this. In math, while I search for this thing here, hold on, math, a little science and math with a little algebra 1, and this is lesson number 58. Well, you probably have gotten this already. Uh-oh. Now we're in trouble because I don't see it there. Oh, sure it is. Here it is. Just under a different lesson here. In math, in order to try to, you should have this thing somewhere. Let me make it a little smaller. Math, when it comes to particularly binomials, we talk about multiplying binomials, a first term thing times a second term thing. It's kind of a big thing in the math world. I don't know why it is, but you will hear math people talk about, and you can take out this note paper and write this stuff down here. You will hear math people talk about FOIL, F-O-I-L, FOIL. And what that is all about is this. By the way, this only works when you do binomial times binomial. This is the only time we really talk about this whole FOIL stuff. Binomial times binomial. And basically, it's what we just did. Okay, it's what we just did, but it's kind of a way to think about and to be able to do it in your head. Okay. And it just makes the process maybe just a little smoother, a little simpler. And what FOIL means is this. Let's just break this down here a little bit here. I'm going to rewrite it so you can see it. If I have x minus 5 times x minus 3. When you get good at this, you'll just look at that right away and you'll shoot out the answer is x squared minus 8x plus 15. And the reason for that is if you organize it like this in your head, it's pretty, it's a quick way to do this. The F in FOIL means you multiply first the two first terms. And it says it right here, the two first terms. And if you do the two first terms, you get x times x is x squared. That is always going to be the first thing in your answer. X squared will never, it's never going to have anything else to combine with. Okay? And then they want you to think about this. If you take the two outside terms, in other words, x times negative 3 is a negative 3x, and the inside terms, those, when you see a binomial like these, are always going to be able to be put together because they're both going to end up with x's in them. So a negative 3x and a negative 5x combines to give me my minus 8x. And then the last term in your answer is going to be what you do when you multiply the two last terms together. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. So the gist is you are going to be able to see a binomial like this and automatically spit out that it is x squared minus 8x plus 15. It takes a little practice, and it really only works. It really only works when it's terms that binomials that look like this. In other words, they start with the same letter. You know, like say x minus 4 times x plus 2. Okay, it only works when they start both with the same variable, by the way, and they just have numbers kind of at the end. You can do it with some letters here, but it doesn't work if you have x minus 4 times y plus 2, because when those letters are different, you can't add and combine those things together. But if it does have the same letter followed by a number, you are going to, when you multiply those two binomials together, you're going to get a trinomial. Now let me do it kind of quicker, but not quite really fast. Okay, if I am doing FOIL, I always like to just point it out here what's going on. I know in my answer, my first term is going to be whatever x times x is, and that's x squared. I know my second term in my answer is going to be what happens when I combine the outside and the inside terms, because they are going to be like terms. The outside term is x times 2, which is 2x. The inside term is negative 4 times x, which is negative 4x. So that gives me, when I put those together, that gives me minus 2x. And then my last term is not going to combine with anything. It's just going to be a number. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And there is my binomial times binomial using FOIL to get the answer. We should probably try just a couple more. Let me see if the book gives you a harder sort of thing here. No, they start you pretty simple. We'll get to harder ones, but let me give you another example here. What if it was x minus 8 times x minus 2? So your answer to this is x squared minus 10x plus 16. Now that might have been a little fast, so I'll go through it again for you. What happened here was FOIL. I multiplied the two first terms together. Ka-chunk, a chunk. That's where my x squared came from. Okay, to get my middle term, it's a combination of the outside and the insides. The two outside terms, x and -2 is a -2x, and the two inside terms was -8x. Put those together, you get -10x. And then always, 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 this last term is -8 times -2, which is +16. And that's where I used FOIL to do that. You know, FOIL confuses you. You can always think about it as every term times 1, but we're going to do a lot of this, so you might as well start thinking about it in that term here. Let's do one more. How about, I don't know, x minus 4 times x plus 6. If you think in terms of FOIL, you know, your two first terms is going to give you x squared. The middle term I'm going to get my answer is going to be a combination of my outside terms combined with my inside term. 6 times x is 6x, -4 times x is -4x. You put those together, you get a balance of +2x. Then my last term is going to be the two last terms combined together. -4 times 6 is a -24. And you, ladies and gentlemen, have not been foiled. Rats foiled again, as they say. But please remember, this only works with binomials. It will not work for a binomial times a trinomial. It doesn't work for a monomial times a binomial. It is strictly binomial times binomial. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully that helps you. I don't know. Believe me, we will do. I mean, math people go a little crazy over this whole FOIL business. So you'll see that pop up, you know, on whatever achievement test, MAPS tests, you know, IXL. It's all over the place. So I guess you can just enjoy it and have fun with it. Who knows? I am shutting down the program right now. Thanks, 8th grade.